always want to do is look at the landmarks and where the muscles are going to and from. That kind of helps you. All right, so there's this landmark over here, all right, on the humerus. What do you think it might be?
Is it
No. The landmark on the bone. It's a bone. So the tendons are going to attach to that landmark. I'm sorry, it's right over here. All right, so here's the bone. There's a landmark up on that bone, and it comes around here from the scapula. It's the coracoid process. So with the coracoid process, we see three muscles attached, right? We already did this one. What is that one? All right, didn't we do this one here, gang? Pectoralis minor.
or major?
Okay, we did pectoralis major. That's over there. Then under it is pec minor. All right, I'll go through the whole thing, then we'll come back to this. All right, because it helps you identify what these muscles are if you know the landmarks. All right, so here, let's just start with the coracobrachialis. On this one here, we'll see it better on the other model, but just so you'll know, this is the coracobrachialis, this muscle here, because it's coming back to the coracoid process. All right, the coracobrachialis. Pec major, all right, there's the pec major, the main chest muscle. All right, remember it was cut and removed on this side. We have the deltoid muscle, right? Well, the deltoid's a big shoulder muscle, so therefore we break it down into anterior, middle, and posterior. So the anterior deltoid is over here, goes to the lateral half of the clavicle, so it comes down to the, what do you think it's going to insert? Everybody should know. Deltoid tuberosity. Remember that? All right, lateral aspect. Then we have the middle deltoid, and then we're coming back here to the posterior deltoid. Latissimus dorsi. Really big muscle, starts down by the sacrum, a little bit on the iliac crest, thoracolumbar fascia, up to T12, wraps around, comes all the way over, and inserts over by the tubercles. That's the latissimus dorsi. Next up, we have the teres major. Okay, right off over here, down to the inferior angle, is the teres major. It wraps in front of the humerus. It does the same actions as the latissimus dorsi. So teres major. We have the good old supraspinatus and infraspinatus. Well, what is this here? Oh, this part right here, exactly what this is. Everybody should know these things, guys. You should know this stuff. Nobody knows in the whole group. It's the spine of the scapula. This is all the stuff we did last week. That's the spine of the scapula. If you know that, then what's this going to be up here? What's above the spine of the scapula? No, just on the scapula. Just think of the bone. Forget the muscle. On this, you have the spine of the scapula. What's right above, superior to it? The supraspinous fossa. What's inferior to it? Infraspinous fossa. That's the muscles. Supraspinatus muscle, supraspinous fossa. Infraspinatus muscle, over the infraspinous fossa. That's why you have to know those names. They help you. So you know that's the spine of the scapula, supra to the spine of the scapula. Supraspinatus, infraspinatus. Teres minor. Well, we said this is teres major. There's teres minor. Remember I told you the minors are generally smaller and usually superior. Teres minor, teres major. Subscapularis, we're not going to see on this model, we'll see on the other model. Triceps, well, we can just see a little bit of part of it over here. We'll see it on the other model. And all the other ones we need to see the other model. So let's get the model out. Okay, so we'll see some of these same muscles over here now. All right, so first up we have the deltoid again. All right, so let's just take the deltoid off. What is this? Spine of the scapula. That makes this the supraspinatus, infraspinatus. Now, this muscle down here is the teres major. All right, so we can see the teres major from posterior and anterior view. So there's the teres major also on both sides. This is the teres minor. Remember, the teres minor wraps around posteriorly, teres major wraps around anteriorly. Therefore, the teres minor we can't see from both sides. We can only see the teres major from both sides. All right, supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, teres major. This is the tendinous insertion of the latissimus dorsi. This part right there. Over here, we're going to go look at, here is the coracoid process. Right, that's the coracoid process. Therefore, this guy right here is the coracobrachialis muscle. All right, let's see what we can see here. Deltoid, teres major, infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis. Right, that's overlying the subscapular fossa. Right, so subscapularis muscle. Alrighty, then we have the good old triceps. We'll go over all of them, even though we're just talking about the ones with the arm. We have the lateral head, the long head, and then the medial head. Okay, going down to the muscles that move the forearm. We have the biceps brachii. All right, so we have the two parts. All right, right, so this is going to be the short head going up to the coracoid process, and then we have the long head going up into the scapula. So over at the coracoid process, there's three muscles we learned that attach there: coracobrachialis, short head of the biceps, and then the pectoralis minor. All right, there's the pectoralis minor. There's the coracoid process. So pectoralis minor, coracobrachialis, short head of the biceps. Okay, biceps, the brachialis muscle. So the brachialis muscle is the muscle that starts about halfway down on the humerus and attaches to the ulnar tuberosity. And it's deep to the biceps brachii. So we can see a part of it sticking out over here, part of it over here. We take the whole thing out. Now you can see it. So that's the brachialis. We have the brachioradialis, right? So that's this muscle. So when you have your arm in the neutral position, that's going to be a landmark we're going to use when we learn the forearm muscles. So the brachioradialis. Over here is the pronator teres, right? So you can imagine the muscle is going across just like this, and if that shortens, it's going to do pronation. And the triceps we went over. Let's just finish up with the muscles of the forearm, and then everybody will take a look. All right, so now with the muscles of the forearm, there's several of them. If you just follow the basic things that I tell you, you shouldn't have a problem. The first thing you always want to use is a landmark to start from. Your landmark, like I mentioned, is going to be the brachioradialis. Now, if you go, make sure you look at the notes that I have online, your Blackboard notes. It'll show you, it'll discuss that the superficial flexors of the wrist all go back and attach to a common tendon that inserts on the medial epicondyle. All of the superficial wrist extensors, except the extensor carpi radialis longus, inserts onto a common tendon which goes to the lateral epicondyle. All right, so therefore the flexors going to the medial epicondyle, extensors going to the lateral epicondyle. Therefore, you should be able to understand that the posterior forearm is mainly all extensors, anterior forearm is going to be flexors. All right, so that helps.
Say that again, Professor.
Flexors anterior forearm, extensors posterior forearm. All right, and then you'll also, if you just listen to the names of the muscles, it basically tells you where they're going to and from and what they do. So for instance, if you know on the lateral aspect of the forearm, what bone is there? What bone is there? What's that?
The radius.
The radius. The radius is going to be on the lateral side, the thumb side of the forearm. The ulnar is on the other side. So therefore, some of the muscles are going to have that word radius in it. If they're going to have radius in it, they're probably going to be on the radial side. If they're ulnar in it, they're going to be on the ulnar side, right? So here we go. We're going to start with the flexor side. So first up, landmark is brachioradialis. And we already labeled this guy pronator teres. All right, we can see they're all coming back to that common tendon at the medial epicondyle. This one here is the flexor. It's going down towards the carpal region. Flexor carpi, it's on the radial side. Flexor carpi radialis. This one comes right down, kind of goes right by the palm, this retinaculum here. That's palmaris longus. We go one over, coming down here, goes down by the carpal region area. That's going to be the flexor carpi ulnaris. And then this guy, so you know, to the, deep under here, is the flexor digitorum superficialis. All right, so brachioradialis, pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor digitorum superficialis. Okay, now we're going to do on the extensors. All right, back to the brachioradialis. First guy up, the extensor carpi radialis longus. Now be aware, on the extensor side we have a longus and brevis on the radius, whereas on the flexor side we don't. Okay, brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis. We're going right down here. Now let's just take a look. Let's follow this muscle down. These are the tendons. So the tendons are going to where? The digits, right? So that means it's going to extend your digits. That's going to be called extensor digitorum. Let's follow this guy right here. All right, he goes down to this guy. What is this guy called? The little finger is called the digiti minimi. This is going to be the extensor digiti minimi. And lastly, we have this one right here, coming around, right, comes down, stops right around here, extensor carpi ulnaris. All right, so brachioradialis, extensor carpi radialis longus, extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor digitorum, extensor digiti minimi, extensor carpi ulnaris. Okay, there we go. All right, so